All right, so we're live, and thank you, Paul, for coming back on and speaking with us. I know we got disconnected the last time we did the hangout. So there's part one, and I'm gonna change the title of it to be part one: Conversations with Veterans 3. So if you guys missed it, and it's gonna be mostly Paul, telling his story. But Paul's a vet who got out of the service. Is diagnosed with PTSD and some other stuff, and just really getting back in school and getting back on his feet, and has some really interesting stories and insights to share. So I'm excited to have him back on. And with that, Paul, I'm going to turn the floor over to you.
All right. Well, I appreciate the opportunity to continue, I guess, the last conversation. Um, I want to mention one thing real quick that, because after that conversation and kind of since I've been uh, tweeting out I guess, my message or whatever, I've had some people who, uh, much like you, they're just kind of assholes, and they think that I'm trying to scam people, or that I'm lying, or that I'm fake and I'm doing a disservice to veterans, and that I'm just trying to like get money and all this stuff, and that's not what it's about. I am a very proud person, and I just hit a bad time, like everyone does at some point in their life. And as I mentioned in the first conversation that we had, a former soldier of mine set this GoFundMe account up, uh, and I didn't ask him to do it. I didn't tell him to do it. I actually, when he sent me the link at first, I looked at it and I said, "Dude, you need to take that down,"
Mhm.
because I'm not that guy who asked for help. It took me 3 years after coming home from deployment to go to the VA at all to seek help, and I went there only because my wife, who is also a veteran, uh, we were having some issues, and because of the issues that I have with PTSD and some memory issues and some other things going on, I was given medication when I first got back, and then to me, I was like, "Hey, man, medication's working. I don't want to rip somebody's head off and kill them." So I thought things were good, and they weren't. Well, they were in that aspect, but then at home, I was in this zombie hazy fog for like
Oh,
2 years.
Paul, you know what? We're
Yes.
getting we're getting some feedback that we can't barely hear you. So can you move the mic a little closer to your mouth? Just hold it
Oh,
up.
better.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
better.
Sorry.
No, that's
don't want
good.
don't want you guys to like look up my nose, but okay. Sorry.
Yeah, we can't see you, so it's all audio.
Oh, okay. So like I said, so I mean, it almost cost me my marriage with the issues, and
Hmm.
then actually, I had pulled. Well, there was two different incidents that I had. Some idiot drivers had cut me off, and I waited. We got at the stoplight, and I jumped out of my car, and I pulled them out of their car, and was ready to just pretty much, I mean, just kick their ass, or worse.
Hmm.
And the second time, my wife was with me, and once she got me to calm down, uh, she actually she said, "You need to go get some help, because you're gonna go the wrong car and you're gonna get shot and killed, or you're gonna kill somebody." And
Hmm.
that was 3 years after we got home, So I am not the guy out there looking for money. I've in the VA. I mean, I do have a claim, a pending claim through the VA, but I told them, or I asked them. I said, "Hey, is there a way that I can file a claim, and the government, the military will say, okay, we understand, we acknowledge that these issues arrived while you were wearing a uniform during a deployment, and you get to keep your education benefits." And I sign a waiver saying, "You know what? As long as you guys accept that and I get to keep my education benefits so I can go to school and better myself and get a better career, I don't want your money. I don't want any type of percentage like people get. And they said that's not the way it works.
Mm.
So, like I said, I just want to make that clear to any, and again, I know you get it because I've seen some things on your page, and pardon my language, but the fucking assholes who think that I'm out here disservicing veterans and just trying to scam people and that I don't have a problem or that I don't have issues. I'm sorry you feel that way, but I'm real. I have issues, and I was thankful to have the opportunity that when I was talking to you and you said, hey, why don't you come on and tell your story? You know, that's it. Uh, I hope that if the veterans are listening and all that stuff, then uh, they can um, maybe seek help, because they haven't done it yet. I got a lot of people, a lot of soldiers that I deployed with even that still haven't gone because they're afraid that they're gonna get kicked out because hey, they admitted that they got some things that they're dealing with, or
Yeah.
that people are gonna look bad upon them. You know, that's not the case, man. If you have some shit that you're dealing with, I mean, it is what it is. And I'm not saying only soldiers. People see some traumatic crap here too. I mean, the freaking riots in Baltimore. I'm sure some of those people probably seen some crazy shit. And you know what? Maybe they got some issues and they might have nightmares and whatever from the rest of their lives. And they may wake up 2 years from now and go, man, maybe I have a traumatic experience, and I got some issues and I need to go talk to somebody. Then you know what? Go talk to somebody. Don't be afraid to go talk to somebody. You know, and that was me. That I'm perfectly fine with talking to somebody at the VA. They told me, the doctors there, the psychiatrists, the psychologists, they said you need to file a claim. I said, okay, well, what do I need to do? That's the only reason I did.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this GoFundMe thing, and I greatly appreciate all of the amount that has been donated so far. I mean, from the last time we talked, uh, while I appreciate my family and especially me, we appreciate anonymous donations. Uh, I wish that you wouldn't donate anonymously so I could thank you, like individually. Because you can't, it doesn't tell me like who it is because it's anonymous. And my full intent, I don't know if I put this out, I can't remember exactly what I said the last time. Uh, I've been accepted to a master's degree program. It's a number for acupuncture and Oriental medicine. It's the #1 school in the country. It's in Portland, Oregon. Like I said, I live in Missouri. I got to get there. Um, and I've already talked to a person who's helping me with the VA and some other situations that deals with a lot of veterans. As soon as I graduate, I'll tell this now, and I will keep my promise that no veteran, no military, no police officers, no firefighters will ever pay a dime for treatment once I graduate from the school.
Mm.
I'm fully intending on giving back because, you know, I know for one, military doesn't, TRICARE does not cover chiropractic or like acupuncture or any type of medicine like that. And so I want to give back. I mean, so anything that these donations that have been given to me and helping my family, I fully intend to pay it forward for the rest of my life because, the world's going to crap real fast. And there's not a lot of people that do, um, care anymore. There's people that do. I mean, you were one of them, and I appreciate it, and for me, like I said, I'm not on Twitter all the time, but when I happen to check out your page and I see people bashing you, I'm like, you don't even know like what this woman has done for people like me. Uh, I don't know exactly what all you did for the gamer community, but for veterans alone, you know what I mean? You give and don't expect anything in return. And that's huge because these people that are hating on you, would they do the same thing? You know, would they turn around and help? Would they give food to a homeless guy? Would they give $1? Or they're the guys that just walk on by and then they want to bitch about the world and how corrupt it is. So, I mean, you know, that's I know that's not really relevant necessarily maybe to my talk, but that's how I feel about that crap, and it just pisses me off.
Yeah, I mean that's why I was on, and thank you, I appreciate that. That's why I was on a little bit of a rant earlier. And you know, some people have asked me what's going on. And a friend of mine got a kind of not real great diagnosis earlier, so I'm dealing with that, and I think it's tough because I fucking care about people. Like I look at the world and I think, God, there's got to be a better way that we can handle this. Like this friend of mine who's sick, I, we live in a country where medical care bankrupts people. I mean, how inhumane is that? It's so fucking inhumane that anybody should have. We're in a first world country. We have tons of money to go to war and to send people to war and to send people to all kinds of things to bail out bankers to the sum of $18 trillion in bad bets. I mean, hell, we have plenty of money for that, but we don't have money to get acupuncture for veterans or for firefighters or for police officers. We don't have enough money to feed people. We don't have enough money to, that healthcare can be just affordable. And and that's why this morning, I mean, I apologize for those of you who've seen my ranting this morning because I'm not in a good mood today, and it's because of that. It's because I do things because I want the world to be a better place, and for some godforsaken reason, people pay attention to porn actresses because we do shit that other people won't do. It's the truth. So if I get out on camera and I show my pussy, people will pay attention to me, and I think, well, there's got to be a way to make that be useful. There's got to be a way for that to be helpful to the world. And so few people are talking about veterans issues. I think, well, you know what? If a porn actress does, maybe people will start to pay attention to it. This isn't rocket science. It should be like, look, we're all like, I'm a porn actress. I was born into the working classes. I'm just a person. I'm not. I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I only have what I have at my disposal. But there's got to be a way that we can help each other. Like what you're doing is commendable because you're making a commitment to help your brothers and sisters in arms. That's useful. That's what's important. And and I think, okay, well, it's the same thing. Like I'm a porn actress, cool. I'm really overcompensated for the work I do, and that gives me a lot of leisure time, and it gives me a platform to talk about stuff. Okay, how do I turn that into something valuable to the world? I mean, because like you said, the world, I mean, I see it every day, and I think, am I the only person who sees this? It's going down the tubes. This shouldn't even be a conversation. There shouldn't even
Right.
be a reason that you have to fundraise your schooling, or other people have to fundraise their health care. Like, I don't know what the hell happened to the world from the time I was born to now. I have my theories on it, but all those of us on the receiving end of it can do is to help each other. So when I get bullshit from people and I wake up to bullshit from people, it makes me fucking mad. And it makes me mad for myself. It makes me mad for the world. It makes me mad for people like you who get shit from people who call you a shill because you just want to go to school so you can help some people. And this really fucking pisses me off. And today's the day that I'm like so close to just say, come fucking say it to my face. Come say it to my face.
Right.
You know?
I want to say one thing. You said, you were saying, you're a porn actress, and but you know what? Yes, but that's a portion of you. I don't even know you. I mean, we've never met, face to face. We've talked through this chat and we've tweeted. That's as far as we know each other. Honestly, I mean, I'm a guy, so yes, I've watched porn before, and I've seen your page, so I've seen a few like images, I guess. I've never seen your videos or anything. But guess what? You have a job. Yes, it happens to be porn. Who cares? You work. Everybody works. I did the military thing. That's what I did. But you're a person. You're a woman who cares about other human beings. That's like there is 80% of Mercedes, right? A human being who cares about other human beings. And then there's the 20%, oh, well, you know what? She works and it happens to be in porn. I mean, that's the problem with all these people that are bashing you or saying negative things, you know. They're like, all porn star. Dude, get the fuck over the porn star and let's focus on, hey, man, here's a person who gives a shit about other people besides herself. And that's the problem as far as the world. People, whenever I came back, you know, I came home in 2012. My wife and I both said, what the fuck happened to our country? When did people stop caring about each other? I literally, I mean, I was blown away. In a year, well, a little over a year of being gone, and we came home, and man, I mean, we lived downtown at the time, downtown St. Louis, and there's a lot of homeless people down there. And I mean, I watched people walk by these guys who would stand outside the grocery store, you know, and I got it. You're asking for money, and do I know if you're gonna go? Um, if I give you $5, you're probably, most, you know, you're gonna go buy a bottle of booze. Am I gonna judge you for that? No, because I don't know what it's like to be you, what it's like to live on the street and freeze to death. So while I didn't give them money, I would take them into the store with me. I'd say, you know what, I don't care because, well, one thing, I don't carry cash. I have my debit card. You know, I'm that guy. You know, Americans, we don't carry checks or cash anymore. We swipe the card, swipe the card, swipe the card.
Mhm.
But you know, so I said, you know, I don't carry cash, but guess what? I can buy you a meal. So why don't you walk in this store with me? And man, I don't know how many times my wife and I both would feed a person, a random person, because you know what? You can't. At least I knew for sure that you ate one time that day. You know, and that's all you're doing. I mean, you know, for us, for veterans, for again, like I said, I don't know a lot about the gaming community thing that you did, but they're people too. So you said, okay, well, you know what? And everybody's like, oh, well, porn star Mercedes helped out these gamers. Why don't we just say, you know what? A human being, a woman, Mercedes, helped out other people. I mean, why do we have to? I mean, we have to focus on porn star, or I mean, even with if a I know it's rare, but if a uh, politician or whatever, you know, actually helps out somebody, oh well, we got to blow it up, man. Oh crap, you know they're bad because they helped out Joe Snuffy over here, dude. Who cares? Because oh, but it's politician so and so. It's not. You know what? Bill Smith helped out whoever, and when he happens to work for the government. I mean, we have there's so many labels these days. You know, everybody's labeled. Well, what do you do? I mean, you can't even honestly, you can't even walk down the street. Well, what do you do for a living? Oh
Yeah.
well, you know, I'm a factory worker. And if somebody is if you're a factory worker and somebody else works at like a bank and you get to just talking, that banker, oh, I work in a factory. You know, I make like $12 an hour on the assembly line. That banker in that business suit looks at that person
Hmm.
with, and you may, you know, it may be a subtle little sneer, but in the back of that banker's mind, he goes, man, oh well, you know, you're lower than me. And
Mhm.
what the fuck is wrong with you? You're both two fucking guys or whatever. You know, you're both human beings, and let's get over the labels. Let's stop labeling people and let's start helping each other. You know, and I'm not talking about me. You know what I mean? Like I said, I appreciate every dollar that has come to my GoFundMe account. And again, I promise that I will pay it back tenfold whenever I graduate this school to whoever. Um, and that's my intent. That was my intent whenever I applied to the school. That was my intent whenever I got the acceptance letter. That's my intent the whole time. Um, you know, my buddy set it up for me because I was going through a rough spot. You know, I've been unemployed since December of 2014. Um, I've been steadily seeking work. I've been trying. I mean, I apply, but I don't know what's wrong. I don't get the call back or the interview. So he said, hey, you know what? Let me do this for you to get you the money so you can move out there. You know, my wife, again, an amazing woman, veteran as well. She also has PTSD, diagnosed by the same person that I was. She doesn't seek help. I don't push her to seek help. She enjoys what she does in the military, and she doesn't want people to look differently on her. So she has not gone to seek help. I have, because I couldn't control it. She controls it well enough, and I don't push her to do it. But she's a perfect example of what I was talking about with guys or women, you know, that come home and they're afraid because they're like, man, my unit or my battalion or my office, my CO or whoever is going to look bad, look down on me because, man, I said I got some issues. Or, um, you know, your medical people are gonna give you a profile that you can't carry a weapon because you have displayed this behavior, so you might be a threat to yourself or somebody else. Because and so people won't say anything because they don't want that, because that ends careers. That ends, you get kicked out of the military, and hey, thanks for playing, thanks for deploying, thanks for putting your life on the line. See ya. Because if you
Right.
don't have 13 years in, most of the time, if you don't have 13 years or more, you don't get to be medically discharged if you haven't gone to the VA and put in a claim. They just kick you out. And you just spent, some active duty people I know, I mean, like, I can't remember his name right now, but he messaged after the first interview. I think it was his Twitter name or whatever, it was Heisenberg. I mean, that guy had 6 tours. 6. I couldn't imagine 6 tours. I mean, and if he were to say, hey, you know what, man, I'm a little messed up, or, I mean, I got some issues, they may kick him out. And if he doesn't have that time in, um, they'd say, you know what, 6 tours don't matter. If he didn't file a claim for his issues, then they'd say, thanks for playing. And that's what veterans deal with. Because, and then they come home and then they're messed up, or they go back into civilian life and either sometimes they can't get a job because they can't control their anger or their emotions or whatever, so they flip out, get pissed off at a job or something. Well then maybe they become unemployed, and then they go down like an alcoholic road or a drug road, or they end up homeless, and then the government doesn't give two shits about you. So
Yeah.
you're just I mean, hell, the Vietnam guys that came home, people spat on them, and they didn't even choose to go. They didn't even sign up.
Yeah, that happened to my dad when my father came back, and I guess he was taking a civilian flight back, and he came back, and there was a whole bunch of hippies there waiting for him, and other guys did. They were spitting on him. Yeah, my dad didn't want to go. And there were always those people. And I still see those people. And the thing that people don't realize now is that it's like you said, veterans now are coming back to a very different country in a very different world. We've lost something like 5 or 6 million manufacturing jobs. Those are good jobs. And our government sold us out in the 90s with NAFTA and even before that. Now they're selling us out again with the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership. And so we're losing jobs, and veterans come back and they need the help, and then on top of it, it's hard enough to get a job even if you've stayed civilian and you've stayed in and you've been trying to work towards that. And then veterans, I mean, it's a clusterfuck. And this is why it's important to me to draw attention to this, because what's happening is it's easy to sweep it under the rug, because now that people who are deploying are volunteers, it's easy to ignore it, right? So everybody cared in Vietnam because there was still the draft. And like I said in my other video, my opinion on it from what I've seen is the draft is socioeconomic at this point. You have working class people who are joining the military because that's where the work is. There's work there. At least you know that you're going to be
Yeah,
employed.
exactly.
And that's
you have full time, you have good pay, you have benefits.
right, and that's something that a lot of people aren't. I mean, the real deal number, and I read this the other day, the government says that unemployment's at 5%, and that's a bullshit number. Shadowstats.com shows that in 1 in 5 families, nobody's working. No, nobody. So that means that, really when they break it down, it's about 20% of the population right now is unemployed. Now, they don't count people who've been unemployed for a certain amount of time. They don't count people who, I mean, there's all this way that the Ministry of Truth at the government distills the numbers to make it 5%. and
Oh,
it's bull
absolutely, yeah.
and it's bullshit. And who ends up, really suffering? People, veterans, people with PTSD, people who are ill, people, all people who need support and help in our society. That should be why we build a strong society. We build a strong society to take care of its people, and we're not doing that. We're building a strong society, and we're taking care of $18 trillion worth of derivative debt for bankers, and we're throwing our vets under the bus, and we're throwing our, a lot of people into the bus, and it makes me mad. And that's why I started doing these. I'm sorry that's a rant, but it's just.
No, no, you're right though. I mean, Court, you know what? Not to get off on a political tangent because I don't like talking politics because it's an opinion base and whatever.
Sure.
But my issue, okay, is when I mean, and I'm talking buddies of mine or military guys, right? That XYZ president. I mean, I'm just gonna not even talk about Obama,
Yeah.
whether it was Obama, Clinton, Bush, whoever,
Yeah.
right? Well, it's the president's fault that the country has gone to shit. Guess what, folks? We're not a dictatorship, okay? We're not China. One guy, I mean, you can believe it or not, but one guy does not run this fucking country,
Mm.
okay? Uh, Congress are many people who have a lot of power.
Mhm.
And I was talking about this actually just like 2 days ago. I said, you may have a diehard Democrat who says, you know what, I voted for Obama and then Obama trashed the country. So even though I'm a diehard Democrat, have been a Democrat for 30 years, I'm going to vote for XY Republican that's coming in this next election because for president. Yet he'll still, because he's a diehard Democrat, he'll still vote for his Democratic House of Representatives and senator. And it's like, dude, you're not very bright, are you? Because that Republican president only has so much power. That's why we have the three branches to, supersede one another and not let one get too strong.
Yeah.
Then, final little rant, I guess, about the whole situation. I was telling this guy, I said, you know what? But let's take out the president and the Congress. Who pays for their campaigns?
Mhm.
Monsanto,
Mhm.
pharmaceutical companies, whoever, these billion-dollar Fortune 500 companies. Hey, man, I'll give you $300 million for you to run. And then guess what? When you get in office, though, you're going to pass this legislative measure or whatever to continue that, hey, you know what? We're going to only our soybeans can be planted on farms, the genetically modified soybeans. That's it. Anybody else, well, then you're going to basically lose your farm and go to shit because you wanted to not be regulated by Big Brother. Or, you know what, your friend who's ill, you have to take you have to spend $50,000 a month for treatment for your disease because XYZ pharmaceutical company makes those drugs. And even though, you know what, I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but we may have an actual different drug that either costs less and maybe actually even works to fix you. But
Mhm.
man, that doesn't make us any money. If I said, hey, take this $10 pill that will make you better, as long as you take it every day, but it's going to cost you $10 a month for the rest of your life. $10, but and it'll actually work and it'll make you better. Or you can take this other 7 different fucking pills that cost you $50,000 a month, and you know what? It probably won't even work, and you're gonna die in 3 years.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? I mean, that's the problem. Anyway, like I don't want to go off on a political tangent because then I mean, hell, then the feed's gonna really blow up. Hey, here's a veteran who hates his commander in chief or whatever. I don't hate anyone. I mean, in terms of voting, it's what would really be great is in 2016, whoever gets elected actually does what they say they're going to do
Yeah.
Democrat, Republican, Independent, it doesn't matter. I will say, you mentioned earlier about you spend the money to send us to war, but then you don't spend the money to take care of us. I will say this one thing, and I know he's running, and I kind of like him. Bernie Sanders, independent from Vermont.
Hmm.
He's running. He is independent, but he's running on a Democratic ticket to try to go against Hillary.
Hmm.
Which means he probably won't win. While it was right after I got home, he actually said, if you can spend $6 trillion to start a war and send people overseas, then you can spend $6 trillion to take care of them when they come home. And that's exactly what you just said. We'll shove you over there. And like you said, hey, you know what? You want a good job? Join the military. Benefits, education. Now, you probably will deploy, and you may not come back. But you
Hmm.
have a good job, so why not, man? The power plant closed down. I got to take care of my family. I got 3 kids, a wife, a house, a mortgage, cars, whatever. What am I going to do? You know what? I mean, I'm fairly good shape. I'm, still early 30s, and I'll go try out for the military. We'll see if they'll take me. And guess what they do? And then you come back because you served, and
Hmm.
now you're a little messed up because, you know, either, I mean, whatever, you're shot, your buddies got blown up, you know, you shot people, and you're having dreams, and so you're a little different than when you went home. And now, guess what? Now there's strain on your children, on your marriage, and you're messed up. And you reach out for help. You say, hey, military, hey, I got these problems, man. And they go, yeah, it's called deploying. Suck it up, chipmunk, you know. And then you
Hmm.
go to the VA, and they're like, oh, well, here, take 75 pills, like me. Like I said in the first thing, I take 14 pills a day
Hmm.
to make me quote unquote normal. Uh, you know, um, but I asked for it. I did. I finally asked for it. I said, hey, you know what? I don't want your money. I want you to fix me. And that a lot of us, a lot of veterans that come home, they don't want the money. There are some, man, that are, they're money grabber. I mean, they embellish on their symptoms, and they're making 70, 80, 90% disability from the VA. They're making $2,000, $2,400 a month for doing nothing because they said, oh, you know what? Well, I mean, yeah, I did twist my ankle over there, but oh, well, but my knee hurts and my back hurts and my neck hurts and my shoulder. And so they get, they abuse the system. And then guys like myself, or guys like other people that are guys, girls, all of us that are actually have some issues, then we get our claims denied, or they take 2 years to actually get through because they're extra scrutinous of, well, is this person really, is he really messed up, or is he just trying to get money?
Hmm.
That's why I was open and honest, me personally. I don't know about everybody else, and I said every step of the way, I don't want your money, I don't want your money, I don't want your money, I want you to fix me. I want you to make me the guy that my wife fell in love with before we deployed. So, and then the guy that doesn't blow up for something stupid crap that makes my wife want to leave me. Because my wife is a fantastic woman who stood by me for 3 years in a foggy haze while she told me that she wasn't happy, repetitively, and I didn't listen until one day she said, I'm done. And I was like, I did. I said, what? You're just going to come out of left field and be done? Where's this coming from? She said,
Hmm.
I've been telling you for 2 years. I said, no, you haven't. And we got into another argument because I told her she was lying, that she didn't tell me. But guess what? I was in this, pill, this mood stabilizing pill, foggy haze that I thought, hey, is working great because I didn't want to rip somebody's head off. But I had no idea what was going on at the house. And then because some other issues that I do have with the memory and things, memory loss that I have, I couldn't remember that she told me, and I don't want, again, part of this, man, if I'm going through it, I know there's people out there, there's veterans out there that are worse than me. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, have bigger issues and have seen more shit than I've seen, and maybe dealing with these issues, maybe having marriage problems or whatever. And you know what, man? If you really care about the marriage, like I mean, I do. Like I said, I love my wife, I love my son, I love our children. I don't want my marriage to end. And if anybody out there is listening that is a veteran that is struggling with this, and you say, I don't want to go to the VA because they're gonna fucking laugh at me, or they're gonna the unit's gonna like call bullshit, or I'm gonna get on Twitter and this fucking reporter lady, sorry, but it's a damn reporter lady that called me faker, don't and scammer, you know, is gonna say, oh, he's lying. Man, fuck those people. If you want to, if you have problems, go get help. Please seek help. I know VA has got a bad rap because they've screwed with people, and yes, because of our brothers and sisters that have taken advantage of the system, just like in all businesses, though. I don't know if it happens in the porn industry, but I mean, there's other jobs. I mean, the guys will lie they'll step on you to get the promotion. That happens in factories and whatnot. Now, oh well, you know what, man? Bob showed up late, a couple times this month. I've never been late, boss. I really like that manager job. Well, guess what? Bob just got fucked by his buddy, and now, his buddy Joe, who just dined out Bob, and then he gets the manager job. I mean, it's all over.
Oh, it is.
Everywhere.
It's always been like that. I mean, I'm looking at some of the comments, and Divided Line brings it up, and I mean, as far back as the origin of this country, and Divided Line points out that the Greeks used to argue about it. If you read any of if you read the Republic, I mean, they talked about this, and the thing about it is that, I mean, even in the Revolutionary War, how did they get an army together? Did the average person who was a farmer in the colonies really want to go to war against England? No, of course not. They promised them land. And why did they promise them land? They promised them land because the only people who had any voting rights were landowners. I had this argument with someone about women's suffrage the other day, because it was like, oh, the suffragettes, they were the ones who got women's suffrage. Well, the reality was that, I mean, black men and women, white women, all were allowed to vote at roughly the same time, and if you didn't own land, and widowers could own land, it was complicated. It's not as black and white, and it's always been this class setup. And I think for a while in the United States, especially in the middle of last century, we started to have really strong middle class, and there was work, and people had jobs, and they abolished the draft, and people could hone their skills in the military and come back, and there was work for this brief period of time. And now we're falling back into more of a class divide system that we've lived in for eons. But we remember at this moment, we remember what it was like to have a better day, and it's tough. And somebody said, well, it takes help on both parts. I don't think Paul's saying that he wants the VA to do all the work in fixing him. I think he's saying, he's going to do the work too, but it's frustrating if you're somebody who, like I'll disclose this, I have Asperger's syndrome, and so my brain doesn't work normally. It doesn't work normally per normal people, right? So when I was younger, they put me through a battery of tests because I didn't learn things the way other people wanted me to, and I'd gone almost mute for a while because I used to get the answers really easily in school, but I was told not to answer the questions so much. So I was basically told to stop answering questions. So I stopped talking. I just stopped talking for a while. And the school then thought, well, there's something wrong with her. She's autistic. There's something wrong with this kid. And they put me through a battery of tests, and they were perplexed because my IQ came up really high. And they thought it was a mistake. And then they did it again. And then they did it again. And I kept coming up higher and higher on all these different IQ tests, and they couldn't figure it out because they were convinced that I was dunce. And, it's frustrating for me. Like, I have face blindness, which is a common issue with people who have Asperger's syndrome. So, like, if I look at people, and unless they're super distinctive looking, if I meet them again, my brain doesn't recognize faces holistically the way a normal person should. And it's really fucking annoying. It's super annoying. Like, it makes me super socially awkward. I have complete social anxiety in large groups of people. Especially in porn land, where a lot of the people kind of look the same because there's like the same style over and over. And it makes me weird because I can't tell sometimes if I've met somebody before. And it's frustrating to be in a brain that doesn't work normally. And I don't have PTSD. I've never seen war. I don't have that kind of of issue, but I do know what it's like to be in a brain that doesn't do what I want it to do. And I
Right.
think a lot of people don't realize, unless I wasn't even really diagnosed until I was in my early 20s because my IQ came up high. They said, well, they put me in the quote unquote gifted program, which was even worse for me for a whole bunch of reasons. They skipped me a grade and it was a nightmare because I was socially awkward and with older kids. It was bizarre. And so when I was in my early 20s, finally I saw a therapist about this face blindness. I saw a neurologist, and then they diagnosed me with it. And I finally went, okay, now I know what this disorder is. Now I know what's wrong with me. Now I know how I function differently. Now, like when I go to events, I take a good friend of mine who's got really good facial recognition abilities, and he'll tell me who so and so is ahead of time. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I have to do that. It's annoying, and I don't know what it's like to live with PTSD, but I can imagine it's fucking annoying to not be able to handle your emotions about a situation the way you want to. I don't think anybody wants to lash out. Nobody wants to be confused. Nobody wants to wake up with anxiety. Nobody wants to have insomnia. This is, and I think, if you go into the military and you pass their battery to go in, you're probably a fairly well functioning person. So to come out
Oh
with
yeah, yeah.
issues,
Most of the time you have to be. I mean, if you have any issues, they pick it up, and then most of the time, as long as you're honest, anyway. I mean, there are people who've gotten in who had issues and then it found out later, but guess what? As soon as it's found out, then you're gonna get kicked out anyway. So you know,
yeah,
uh, it's not really easy to hide like big issues. When you enlist. Um, you made the point. I mean, it is. It's if I didn't have to go to the VA for quote unquote help, you know, uh, I would love that.
hmm
I would love to not have to take medication. And like you said, the frustrating part is yes, I guess somehow I have some kind of chemical imbalance that is described as a mood disorder. When I first came back, it was major depressive disorder that has now kind of elapsed and just gotten better, and is now just a mood disorder, possibly bipolar. But regardless, it's a chemical imbalance, they said. And yeah, like you said, to not be able to. I mean, I have a relatively high IQ, kind of like you. Same thing. Um, my memory's shit, but that's previous stuff as well. Rough childhoods playing. I used to uh, do martial arts, fight MMA, and play rugby, and then military stuff. Hit on the head a lot, so memory sucks. But that's not. I don't even really talk to the VA about that because I'm like, the military didn't do that to me. That was me being a kid.
hmm
Um, but along with the other PTSD issues, yeah, when you can't, that's what I said. I when you can't control your mind, because I'm a big, I mean, I'm sure because you have a high IQ, I use the phrase, I'm like, it's proven that your mind can manipulate your body to handle things, to
I know you're in here.
deal with things, to overcome things. I mean, your body maybe. I mean, it's a small example. Okay, you're in the gym and you're on that last rep or whatever, and I can't go anymore. Or like for military guys, when you're running the 2 mile and you're like, fuck, I'm dying. I'm not gonna make it. But guess what? Your mind, you say, you know what? Yes, I am because I have to pass this thing, or
hmm
else I won't get promoted, or whatever. Your mind can make your body do a whole ton of shit. And so for me, I told the neuropsychologist, I said, okay, so you're telling me that I'm this highly intelligent person, I score way off the charts with your little tests. If I'm so fucking smart, then why can't I make my mind do what I want it to do? To not have this fucking PTSD, to not have these thoughts, to not, have this anger. And they said, well, that's not how it works. And that's the problem, and that's the issues, and that's why you take the medication, and that's why every day when I wake up, I focus and I think about, I want to continue to make my marriage work,
with my wife. Yes, I take my pills because I mean, without them, then I'm a crazy. I don't even know who I am. I'm not Paul. I'm this fucking retard. Or well, I don't like to use the word. I'm sorry. That's not a proper thing, and I apologize. It's, I don't use that word. I mean, really, honestly, like that's not right.
It's okay.
I'm a crazy animal who I don't know who it is, and I don't like it. And if I'm so smart and all this intelligence, then why can't I make my brain? So I do. I make that conscious effort every day. And if my wife does say something that pisses me off that in the past that crazy animal guy would blow up at, I have to stop. But I mean, I have to stop and be like, really? I mean, is this something to get mad at? And it takes effort. And I mean, you know what? I mean, I don't know. People may like think that that's funny, or it's really not like that difficult to, or it doesn't take that much effort. For me, it does. I honestly have to like stop and talk to myself and say, let's back off. Let's take a deep breath and let's approach this in a rational manner. And with you telling me your situation, I can imagine how pissed off you must have been whenever you first had the facial blindness thing and you're not remembering people. And you may have just, I mean, I don't know how quick it is, but if you just saw them and then like tomorrow they come back and you're like, who are you again? I mean, dude, that would that would piss me off because I have memory issues like that and it's not necessarily all the time, but the wife gets frustrated with me sometimes because she told me something today and then I won't remember it tomorrow. And so I understand because then I get frustrated about it. I'm like, fuck, man, really? You told me that? Because at first I'll be like, no, you didn't. You never said anything. But then again, that's that conscious effort. I'm like, you know what? Maybe she did, so don't blow up and get pissed off like she really didn't and argue and say, well, wait, now what did you say? And then she'll tell me little tidbits of like when it was. Remember yesterday afternoon when I said, oh, yeah, okay, now I do remember.
Right. And see, I firmly believe that every single person on this planet, this is where I deviate from other people. I really believe that people want to function as optimally as they can, which maybe is idealistic, but I think most people don't know how. I think especially a lot of people who have like, a neurological disorder or post-traumatic stress disorders or autism or schizophrenia, you name it. I mean, like a lot of the people we see who are homeless, like they can't function. If somebody goes to take drugs or drink alcohol because they can't function, and it's the only way that they have a reprieve, I get it. It may not be what I do, but I understand it. My whole life, the face blindness thing, I couldn't understand why I hated social situations. And it's a minor issue compared to PTSD, but I couldn't understand why I was so socially inept until I identified it. Holy shit. I will see the same person until I've really spent a lot of time with them, my brain doesn't recognize them. So it's a fucking annoying thing, and once it was identified, then it can be handled, right? And it's just, like they give people medications. I mean, I was also diagnosed with ADHD and a whole bunch of other things because Asperger's usually comes with a whole laundry list, and I don't like to take medication for it, so I don't. But that doesn't mean that isn't important. That doesn't mean that people who come back, like if you're coming back from what I heard of your story in the last show, for those of you who didn't see it, Paul was stuck pretty much in a full-time lockdown scenario on a base while his wife was out driving stuff around in a war zone. That's a lot of goddamn anxiety to feel every single day. And I think people who are strong and people who are smart and people who have good coping mechanisms actually are in some ways in more danger of it, because instead of breaking down right away, the body stores the muscle memory of the trauma, the brain learns how to cope with it, and then it comes out later. And it comes out in weird, dysfunctional ways, and then it's harder to pinpoint, like where did that trauma come from? I've got a bad shoulder. I stored up years of anger in that shoulder. I was raised in a dysfunctional home. I ended up being a boxer in my early 20s. I had a lot of anger. I beat the shit out of my shoulder. I took a hell of a lot more punches than I should have. And so I know you were a fighter, and I understand that. I understand what that's like. And I used to get the shit beat out of myself because I was so angry. It was the only thing I could understand. And now I still deal with repercussions with my shoulder because I stored a lot there, and I used myself up there. And I think this is part of the humane practice of we talk about wanting a better society, but realistically, we don't. We want people to be strong, and then we don't want to deal with people when they come out of that. And it's like, how do we handle that? I mean, this is my frustration because I look at soldiers in particular and I go, these are kind of elite humans in a lot of ways who hit the battery, were special trained for this. I don't think it's right to have to let people just, okay, now we're done with you, go face it on your own, tough shit. And this is like, if you saw my first rant, it was exactly that. I've seen homeless veterans. I'm talking to guys online who are veterans who had been homeless for a bit, and I think we can do better than that. What a waste! What a waste of human potential to train people, stick them in a war zone that sucks the life out of them, and then bring them back and then say, "Oh, tough shit, you're on your own, find a job."
No, and you're right. And they have these a lot of they say they're again, I've been out of work since December, and I'm on the what is it, hire to or hero to hire, or like I hire vets, or some, whatever those like veteran preference places are.
Uh-huh.
I got called from a staffing agency from my resume or application on that, and then they found out that I was a veteran and that I had some issues, and they said, "Oh, never mind."
Hmm.
And I was like, "What? Why?" And they said, "Well, we don't really." The staffing agency said the company or whatever, they said, well, they don't really like to deal with veterans because they may have uh, they have the potential to essentially to flip out. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? My wife told me to like call somebody and like sue them for discrimination. I was like, it's not even worth it. I mean, it's their loss. But I mean, that is, and that's the problem. That's another, I guess, fear of some of us coming home, because like you said, if you hide it, I mean, I hid it for 3 years, or I thought I was, I tried to like bottle it up and just, I'm good, I'm fine, I don't have any problems, I can handle it for 3 years. I don't, there's other people who probably handle it or did the same thing for longer, or even if they're not, well, then they come in their job and then, one day they have a bad day, and and then they get fired because they had that blowout, like you said, and that's, again, I mean, I appreciate your taking the time and letting me tell my stuff, uh, and I appreciate every donation that came from the people that listened to this, and from your help and everything, but I'm not trying to scam anybody, and I don't. If I didn't have to ask, I hate the fact that I can't be the provider and take care of my family right now. But again, I'm just a guy. Um, yes, I'm a veteran. Yes, I have PTSD. But like I told you earlier, you're just a woman. You're just a human being who likes to help other people. You're not. To me, you're not porn star, Mercedes, glamour, fortune, fame, whatever. You're a woman who I saw that had this one tweet that I just happened to see that said homeless veterans, and I was like, you know what? Let me just reach out to this person and see what it's about. So you are, again, you're just a woman who wants to help other human beings who have some problems. Me, yes, I'm a veteran. Yes, I have PTSD, but I'm just a guy who hit a rough patch. And you know what? I thank everyone and who has tried to help me out through my rough patch. You know, and that's it. That's the ABCs. That's all it is. Again, I'm not out on the street corner or at the intersection with that sign. All veteran. Please donate. But dude, I'm not that guy.
Right.
I mean, there are those people, but that's not me. So
Well, that's it. That's my frustration in this. The reason I wanted to have you on, and I've invited, other veterans. Anyone who's a veteran who wants to come on, share your story. I would love to do that because again, I have a platform because I show my pussy on camera. So for some reason, people think that's interesting and they will listen to me. And I say, all right, then let's talk about something important. That's how I have this, and I think that if enough people, like I'm really fucking sick of Hollywood, for example. I'm today's like the day that I'm on a tear about this stuff, but I'm mad because I see a lot of like in Hollywood and in politics, it's all, they'll talk about it. Oh, I care about that. I care about that. And they'll do a benefit and they'll raise a bunch of money and it'll go into some person's pocket and it never reaches where it's supposed to go. And they all pat themselves on the back and act like they made a difference. And I don't agree with that. Like, we are on this planet. We are human beings on this planet. I'm American, and I'm in this country, and I care about this country, and I want it to be a better place. I want it to be a better place for future generations. I want it to be a better place for the people around me. And I think, you know what? You're just a person. You're a dude who's a veteran, and you hit some hard times, and they might continue for a while, or they may get better. I don't know. We all have our path. I'm some chick who shows her pussy on camera and people listen to me now, and fuck if I know what'll happen in 20 years. Nobody fucking knows. I could get in a car accident tomorrow. I could end up an invalid, or I could end up being a billionaire. Nobody fucking knows. But what I do know is that for as long as we're on this planet, people should be, this is why I lost it earlier about trolls. I am so sick of people who want to use their influence in the world to be destructive. Fuck that. Do something goddamn useful. I'm not saying we shouldn't have fun. People should have fun. Life is entertaining. But people who sit around just fucking picking on people or critiquing people, or people who want to call you a shill because your soldier set up a fund for you because he wanted to help you. Fuck anybody who just wants to go out of their way to tear other people down. I'm sick of it. I'm just fucking sick of it. I want the world to be better. We're not going to get there if everybody sits around picking on each other and calling each other names. Meanwhile, some people at the top are walking away with $18 trillion in derivatives and fucking screwing all of us at the bottom. And I'm sick of the infighting. I'm sick of people fighting about race, and I'm sick of people fighting about color, and I'm sick of people fighting about gender. I mean, the feminism thing really fucking pisses me off for that reason, because it's turned into gender against gender. Everybody needs to wake up and realize that if we don't start taking care of each other, if we don't have each other's backs on a really ground level, I'm talking the bottom 90% of us, we're all fucked. All of us. And I think that, especially veterans, I have a lot of respect for the people who suck it up and go to war for whatever reason that they go. People say, oh, it's wars for the globalists. I don't fucking know, but these are people who put themselves in a war zone. And these are the strong people in our society. I believe in supporting the strong people in society. That's how we can make a difference. You're a strong guy. Look, you got some issues right now, and the VA is helping, and luckily you've got a great wife who's standing by you, and I'm so happy about that. And a lot of these veterans that I'm talking to, they don't. They come back and their wives leave them, and they leave with their kids, and they're all alone, and veteran suicide is like such a pressing issue, and nobody's talking about it. I don't hear Emma Watson or Gwyneth Paltrow talking about it. They want to talk about mythical wage gaps. Meanwhile, the bottom 90% of society has all lost work. And this is what makes me so mad right now. It's, people need to wake up, and we need to help each other. I was on a rant about this a few months ago. My colleague Cytherea, all the feminists talk about helping women, and when an actual woman who's a porn actress gets raped, nobody wanted to say shit about it. You know who supported Cytherea? Men's groups, men's rights groups, the conservative right, who literally should be the last people who give a shit. But they actually ran articles about it and let me talk about it. Yeah, I mean, veterans were talking about, this is the hypocrisy of society, and this is why I'm sick of people who are hypocrites having a platform, whether they're Hollywood elite celebrities or feminists or all this shit. I want to see a world where people actually walk their talk. And that's why I've said from the beginning, that's what I do. I said I was going to help people. I will do everything in my fucking power to help people. And people who follow me know that. And I'm really, really sick of all the people who claim to want to help, who don't want to do it, or they claim to want to help, and then they turn around and bash people who need help. Not doing it today. So,
No, you know what? That's you brought up a good point. I mean, Hollywood. You know, I will say. I mean, I'm going to name Gary Sinise, Lieutenant Dan from Forrest Gump. He does a lot of things with veterans.
mhm,
Terry Bradshaw
cool.
does a lot of it because Terry Bradshaw, what was he, a three-time Super Bowl champion?
Oh, cool.
Struggled with depression his whole entire life. And the reason I know this is because before you deploy, you get these videos that you have to watch about depression and things. And he was on this video, and I'm like, dude, and the first time you watch this thing, you're like, Terry Bradshaw, fucking NFL superstar. What the hell do he have to be depressed about?
Hmm.
And that man has dealt with depression for years. So it's like, for me, man, you can relate. It's like, man, well, maybe I'm not fucked up, because I'm average Joe. I was never, three-time Super Bowl champion quarterback Terry Bradshaw. And if he comes out and admits that, man, he had some issues and he's been struggling with depression, well, my God, I guess I can be. I'm not fucked up. I'm not abnormal. I can actually have depression or, PTSD or whatever your issue is. And you're right, and my biggest thing is that, like you said, we need to take care of us. I understand. I fully am aware that there are countries out there in Africa, for example, that are starving. I used to remember, the Sally Struthers and the
Mhm,
Katharine Hepburn. Just 70 cents a day. You too can help little Betty. You know what?
mhm,
I want to help little Betty too. But guess what? There's a Betty right here on the streets well, in my case of St. Louis, or when I lived in Chicago, or where you're at, L.A., the Lamp community in L.A., Skid Row out there, 19,000 people, most of them schizophrenic or some kind of problem, and you'd rather put them in jail when you could help them, give them medicine, give them treatment, and put a house up for less than what it costs the taxpayers to put them in jail.
mhm.
And that's the whole thing, what you're talking about as far as helping people. You want to send all our money over there to help little Betty over in Ethiopia. I got it, little Betty's starving. But how many people are starving here? How many people could just use a blanket here? You know what pisses me off about the military? Now this is my state. I don't know if it's nationwide or guard or whatever, or active duty, all branches. I'm not for sure. We had these wool blankets that I received when I got into the military. They're green, they're old, they're kind of itchy, but you know what? They keep you warm. When you get out to go to get out of the military, you turn them in. And I know this because I was a supply side. You go to turn them in, guess what they do? They shred them. They put them in some Connex inserts. They load them into Connex, and then from Missouri anyway, they ship them to California where they burn them.
Hmm.
Rather than let's give a blanket to a homeless guy, let's burn it. And that's what's fucked up about the world, like you said. You know what I'm saying? We'd rather just let those people starve and freeze or whatever, not
Mhm.
help them. Fuck them. I don't know them, so why would I help them?
Right, right. Well,
I
it's like
mean,
it's like when you're on an airplane, and then they give you the instructions, and they're like, "Hey, if the plane starts to crash, the mask come down." What do they always tell you? You put your mask on first before you assist anybody else. You put your mask on
mhm.
first before you assist other people. And at this point, I look around this country, and what I see is an oxygen-deprived nation of people who are suffering because they've outsourced all our jobs and they've given all the money to bankers, and we have a privatized prison system, and that's why they'd rather put people in prison, because some fucker at the top is making money off of having these people in cots. That's why they don't want to give them houses. They can't make money off of that. They can make money off of basically rent for life, hence the drug war crap. And this is the truth of it, and it's out there, and people don't want to see it because it freaks people out. It freaks out their cognitive dissonance. And the thing about it is that I see this. I think other people see this. I think as things get worse, people will wake up. And my concern is that people will turn to fighting with each other over what crumbs are left rather than looking at the big picture and say, all right, we need to work together. We all need to work together because that's the only way that we can actually start to recover some of this. If we start to fight, like it's like we just saw in Baltimore, I don't care why people are upset. I don't care if they're justified in being upset. Burning your own area is never the way to go. It's just you're burning your own businesses, you're burning your neighbors' small businesses. Areas don't recover from this. Look at Detroit. And it
Right.
concerns me. And I am seeing this happen and I go, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. There has to be. I
The
know there
problem,
has to be.
right? The problem came with the whole phrase. I don't know exactly when it started. You know, you mentioned like the ancient, Romans and Greek times and
Hmm.
whatnot, and it might have started then. Survival of the fittest.
Hmm.
Well, these bankers and these power people that you were talking about, they said, "Oh, survival of the fittest," and then they got a bunch of money and they said, "Oh, well, I'm the fittest then," and they forgot about the little guy. They took survival of the fittest to mean make as much money as you can because if you don't, then you're gonna be at the bottom and you're fucked. That
Yeah,
that's not that's not how it's supposed to be. It's well, okay, if you find success, give back. I mean
it's
that's
very
not survival of the
short-sighted.
fittest, but it is.
It's very short-sighted because if you look at history, the people who do that, you end up back in dark ages. And this is, we have, okay, like let's say we have transnational corporations who run things. So they're outside of the bounds of America, but they make money off Americans and they make money off of leveraging our politicians, but they're not accountable to any of our rules. So they can do whatever the fuck we want. And that's why there's all this push for globalization of everything because it makes people eternally unaccountable for their actions. And this is a concern, and I think a lot of people have been seeing this for years, and Ross Perot warned of it. Nobody wanted to hear it. And now, if you even say that, you're like a conspiracy theorist, even though it's fucking reality, I
Right.
mean,
Well,
I don't,
yeah. Ross Perot was just some short guy who talked fast and little accent with big ears. I mean, that's all he was. That's what it was.
right.
Guess what? Unfortunately, the country has become a business, and so who
Hmm.
better than him, a businessman, to figure it out? But no, we want to elect some. Well, anyway, again, I don't want to get
Yeah.
back on that topic because people get pissed off because you offend them. But
Well,
that's another problem. Like you said, you can't even say shit that you feel because somebody else wants to fucking kill you or throw a rock at you for it
yeah,
because you
and
don't
that's
agree with them.
and that's why, I mean,
When did we come to that?
this is why I've spoken out. We talked about. I know you weren't up on the gamer thing, but part of the reason I got involved in GamerGate is that gamers were being libeled by a bunch of radical feminists because they just want to play games. They just want to play games, and the radical feminists started claiming they had PTSD from Twitter, from mean tweets and shit like that, and it's absolutely absurd. And the benefit that I have is, as a porn actress, I piss people off anyway. My very presence on this planet pisses people off. So because of that, I don't give a fuck, and I say whatever the hell I want, and it makes a lot of people mad, and I don't care. And so these feminists, and I pissed a lot of them off, they have started this. There's this one, Melody something, who said that her PTSD from mean tweets on Twitter was the same and just as serious as PTSD that returning veterans have, which is the most insane fucking thing I've ever heard. It's fucking insane. And then a veteran's called her out on it for being a stupid cunt. And then, you know what she did? She actually started reporting them to their superiors. And you know what the military did?
Hello, lose you? I
And I
think
have a
we have
real
a.
problem with
Oh,
that. You there?
I'm here.
I have a
Yeah.
real
Okay.
cool. I have a real issue with that in particular. That these women who are these radical feminists. That's not all women, but it's these radical feminists and some men who are also insane. And somebody made a point that radical feminism is basically bipolar disorder, which is true. But they're hijacking legitimate terms like PTSD and trauma and triggered. They or hijack the triggered hashtag. Now these are issues that are a result of serious traumas and seeing serious things, and by trivializing them over mean tweets, you don't like Twitter. If you're going to be abused on Twitter, get the fuck off Twitter. But
Yeah, I
but
mean, yeah,
but
that's wow, yeah, that's simple right there, man. Wow, mean tweet, Jesus, man. I'm glad fuck, man. If mean tweets cause PTSD, then that those couple people. Well, you remember the first time whenever we were talking, that jackass that got on there was telling me, all that crazy shit, and then the after I did the first interview stream thing, and then
this other lady, man, well, with the PTSD that I already have from being deployed as a soldier, those mean tweets, man, wow, I'm fucked up then. I mean, man, maybe I should use that.
Right.
I mean, really? Wow.
Well, Anita Sarkeesian and all these professional victims, and this is what Gamergate was about, was that these professional victims latched into it, and they've made a fortune. Anita Sarkeesian has made hundreds of thousands of dollars peddling crap, saying that she's being harassed and victimized on Twitter because she got online, she was a provocateur, she started insulting gamers. What do you know? Gamers start tweeting her and sending her emails telling her, fuck you and you should die and stuff like that. And by the way, I get much worse stuff as a porn actress, but I don't make a big deal out of it. Sometimes
Well,
I
like
take
you
them
said,
out
though,
for
see,
target
Twitter,
practice.
well, like you said, Twitter, though, you can, you know what? Hey, cancel your account or don't log in.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a little different than, guess what? I'm overseas 8,000 miles away with people shooting at me. I can't just come home. Now, I mean, yes, there's ways. You can go talk to the chaplain, say, hey, I don't feel good, and then they'll send you home. But for the most part, people don't do that, and you're taking bullets or getting rocketed or mortared or whatever, and you're stuck there for a year, or 14 months, or 18 months, or however long it is. That's a little bit different. I mean, I'm not gonna
it's
say
way.
that there aren't some situations. I mean, I remember back whenever Brooke Shields said she had PTSD after her baby and all that stuff back, years ago. I mean, everybody at some point probably has some traumatic experience, that you go through, and so I'm not going to take away from certain experiences, but I'm kind of with you on that one. I mean, if you're tweeting "fuck you," I mean, and you get all butthurt about it, and now you feel that you're, oh God, I can't deal with it, oh my head. You probably need to just cleanse your account and suck it up and fuck off.
Yeah, and you know what? I am going to take it away from them because fuck them, and fuck them making money off of misappropriating words and misappropriating other people's actual issues. And it's not just veterans, it's people who've lived through wars, it's people who've lived in areas that were shelled. I've known people who lived in actual war zones. I mean, they have legitimate PTSD. People who have had horrible things happen to them. One of my friends online shared with me a really, just heartbreaking video. He's Serbian, and it was a video from the Yugoslav war. And this woman, in real time, she was in her house, and these Mujahideen came in, and they raped her 9-year-old daughter and killed her in front of her, and beat the fuck out of her 10-year-old son, and raped her and killed her, and she was in recovery for like 6 months. It took her 12 years before she could even talk about this incident because she saw her own daughter in real life raped and murdered in front of her. And that's PTSD. That's trauma.
Yeah.
That's real shit. And people who've gone to war, people who've been, and so no, you know what? People who claim that they got PTSD from mean emails and mean tweets can go fuck themselves. I don't even want to hear about it from them. And it fucking makes me mad that we live in a world now where now if I say that, oh Mercedes, you're being inhumane, fuck you. Matt, I'm gonna drop you off in a war zone. I don't even want to hear about it. Like it's a bunch of shit, and I don't know what the hell happened to this world that this stuff even needs to be said. So I get a lot of criticism for being a renegade for saying this stuff out loud that other people think it. I know I'm not the only one, and I get attacked every fucking day by these stupid little bitch rad femmes who want to call me mean because I call them out because they are sheltered and they are spoiled and they have no idea what it is to walk in. Hell, I don't know what it's like to have PTSD. I've never been in a war zone. I haven't been a soldier, but you know what? I'm able to step back and say I can't imagine what that's like, but I know it's a hell of a lot harder than what I face every day. And that's the kind of discourse that we need to be having. Not, oh, she had PTSD because someone hurt her feelings online. Oh, she had PTSD because she was a critic of video games and people called her out for being a cunt. Like, no, that doesn't cut it. Like, we need to have real world conversations, and every one of those conversations obscures from the real ones. And that's why we do this. This is why I do this, because I want to talk to people. I want to show the world that there are people who really should be talking, that we should be listening to, because your story is important, and every veteran I've had on is important. Every single one. I want to hear your stories. I don't want to hear whining from that Melody girl.
And you know what? That's okay. I mean, you know what? I mean, from well, I guess from what I've learned, those you got to try. This is just my I guess helpful advice to you is that you have to try to think if you focus all your energy and waste your time on those stupid ass people,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Then it actually is hurting you more than them because they don't give two fucks. They're gonna keep on tweeting and calling you nasty names,
Mhm.
and they're not being bothered. They may say, "Oh, she called me a cunt. No, I got PTSD." Really though, in reality, they're not bothered. They're sitting at the house on their computer, naked, eating Cheetos in their fucking sofa or whatever, you know.
Right.
Say, you know, calling you names, and they don't care. But they see that it fucking gets a rise out of you, and so they win. I hated this. I've only hated one man in my life, and it was a guy who I was deployed with, and I continued to hate him for 3 years until just recently, probably 6 months ago. I was talking to a guy I deployed with, and he's like, "Are you still? I mean, really? You've not let that shit go?" And I'm like, "No." I said, "I wish he would fucking die. I hope it, I wanted him to die. I wished ill things upon him."
Mhm.
And they, my friend said, "Hey, well, okay, well, what would you say? You know, what would you say? You know?" I'm like, "I would have done it myself." I'm like, "He's lucky. I would have fucking killed him myself."
Mhm.
And you know, he said, "Well, what would you tell his family?" I said, "You know what? When his family and his little kids were all coming up to me and saying, 'Oh my God, why did you kill my dad?' I said, 'You're welcome.' That would be the only thing I said." And it took me a long time to say, I mean, and then he talked to me. He's like, and he told me those exact words. He said, "You hating him this whole time and thinking that, what's that done to you? Right now, you're telling me and you're getting angry and you're elevated, your blood pressure's going up and you're reliving the whole act again." He's like, "I can see it in you. Do you think he's where he is?" And he's like, "Oh shit," off in his brain goes, "Oh God, Paul is cussing me again." No, he doesn't give two fucks. So why let it bother me and, you know, harm my health? And then so honestly, like I'm about 95%. I still have about that 95% that I've let it go. I still got that 5% because I mean, when I say hatred, like I mean, I've never in my life. I'm almost 36 years old. I've never hated anybody except for this guy.
Mhm.
So I'm almost there to fully free up and like let it go. And so I know it's hard, but again, from me to you, don't let them win. You know, just, it sucks, and especially you because you're in the line. You know, you're people. You're more. You have more exposure, I guess, is what you want to say. So, uh, you know, they're going to come at you, but every time that you fire back at them, well, not maybe the first time, but like multiple times, and you let they see that, oh man, I'm pissing her off. Yeah, they win and you don't. You know. So
Yeah, well,
and I'm
it's
just
like
saying that. I mean, that's what I've learned. You know, that's something I've learned over this little time.
what I learned is that my tendency, my inner archetype, if you will, is that of a fighter. And so my way of handling things, like I don't hang on to a lot. And it's like they say, hating other people is like drinking poison and expecting them to feel it. I mean, there's nobody that I hate, but I sure as hell feel like I have a responsibility to call it out because it's constantly coming at me. And I think, if I can talk about it and I can give other people a safe place to talk about, I'll take the bullets. I'll take the bullets all day long from people who have criticism about what I say. I don't fucking care. But this is why I stood up in Gamergate for gamers because I saw the inequity, and it's the same thing here with veterans, I see an inequity. I don't, it's like I'm really happy that the more research I do, the more I see there are lots like veteran groups, and there are people doing a lot of cool things. That makes me really, really happy. The more I research, the more I find, and I'm happy about that. And if I can create a little space that has little impact in my little corner of the world, I'm happy with that. But also just calling it out, calling out the truth, and not sitting by and just allowing inequity to pass by. And I'm really, really, really sick of PC culture. And the best part of being a porn actress is I don't have to adhere to it. Like, my girlfriend works at a corporation. I'm bisexual, for those of you who don't know, but I'm in a relationship with a woman. My girlfriend works at a corporation, and she can't be associated with me online, and she can't say certain things. We share a lot of the same beliefs, but she can't. She's been silenced because of her job and because of what that means, and that, it makes me mad. I mean, when people fought, like soldiers fought in this country for free speech, and now we can't use it because otherwise people will lose their jobs or whatever. I think that's shit. And so it's one of the few people. And celebrities are the same way. Like, I've met a lot of people in mainstream Hollywood. I used to work mainstream production, and they're all so worried about their brand and their image, and, oh, you can't say that publicly because of your brand, and you're gonna lose your platform, and blah blah blah. And it's like, you know what? I would rather lose part of my platform for speaking the truth than sit by like a lobotomized fool and say things that aren't true so that I can monetize it. Fuck that. Like, I'm not alive on this planet. That's what I came to. I'm not alive on this planet to speak untruths so that I can be more popular. I don't care.
I mean, yeah, that's good. Like, and I wasn't like trying to.
Oh no, you were great.
Stop completely,
It was great advice. No, and I'm not negating it. You're right.
For your own benefit, for your own sanity, you just fuck those people. But,
you're absolutely right.
I don't want to cut this short, but I being summoned to come and spend some time with my son.
No, that's great. That's great. But, I'm sorry I ranted so much on your stream.
No, you're good. No, that's, you know what? I mean, you gave me the opportunity, so you rant as much as you want. I mean, honestly, I appreciate the time, and like I said, we're just two people talking, but like with people watching. I mean, really, and you know what? I just thought about it. We're two people talking with people watching. What you do for a living, you're just two people having sex with people watching. So what's the fucking problem?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, I mean, really, like, what's the problem? I've had a dog in most of my relationship, and, sometimes the dog sneaks in the room, and I'm still having sex, the dog's watching. What's the problem? I mean, Jesus, people, I don't know. Maybe that's a bad example, but I'm just saying, get the fuck over it, people. Get over it. This is a woman who is helping not just veterans, who is helping multiple people with multiple issues for the good of humanity. And you know what? Humanity is not dead, and this is proof of it right here. When I came home, I thought, man, humanity has died. And you see all this stuff. Humanity's dead. Humanity's dead. Humanity's not dead. Humanity is hidden. Humanity is tucked away in some people. Baltimore, that whole thing, everybody, oh man, humanity is going to shit. No, because there was instances of humanity during that whole thing, and so again, I appreciate your time, and I appreciate you letting me do this. And
well, Paul, I appreciate your service to this country and your commitment to not only bettering yourself as a person, but contributing to the world through the education that you are pursuing. And I want to appreciate you as a person, and I also want to thank your family and your wife for being so excellent and standing by you. And I think that that's really to be commended. So And go have fun with your family. And you're always welcome back on stream. And a lot of people on the stream say thank you for your service too. So thank you so much, and we will keep in touch, and you're welcome back anytime.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you again. Thank everybody who listened as well.
All right, and I'm going to put your fundraiser link in the comments of the video. So if you guys want to help Paul out, get his family moved out there so he can go really do some amazing things. I mean, here's a man who's making a commitment to serve veterans and police and firefighters with PTSD for free for life once his education's done. I think that's really commendable, and that's something to be supported. So thank you so much again, Paul. You have a great evening.
Hey, you too. Thank you.
All right. Bye.